Hello everyone, my name is Justin Newhall. I'm a volunteer here with the Whitewater Valley Railroad. I'm down here about milepost 50.4 on our line, which is just south of Metamora. We've been getting some heavy rains lately, and I came down here to inspect our track and came across a few problems. So from time to time, actually just about every year, our railroad is pretty prone to washouts, especially in the spring. Being built on the towpath of the canal, the old Whitewater Canal, there's a lot of water flowing next to our right-of-way. And in addition, we run right next to the Whitewater River, which is actually the fastest flowing river in the state of Indiana. So for as long as this railroad has existed, and as a matter of fact, for as long as the canal has existed, we've had problems with washouts. It's just an yearly occurrence for us. It's really common, especially down here between mileposts 50 and about 51.5, south of Metamora. So I'll show you what we came across. So we came across, I believe there's 4 of these washouts that look just about like this. They leave the rails hanging above the ground, ties still attached. From the water flowing in from the old Whitewater Canal over on the other side. That water came up here in the last couple of days and started flowing through our track bed and eventually washed all of our ballast out into the farmer's field. And there it all sits. Like I said, this is pretty common for us, especially this time of year. It's something that we just have to deal with every year. When the time comes, we'll bring a dump truck full of ballast, and we'll keep bringing ballast in until we bring it up to the bottom of the rails here, and then we'll tamp it all down and get it all nice and get the track all nice and level so that we can be ready to run for our season in May. Just to give you an idea, that's US Route 52 behind us. This is the Whitewater Canal here, and the track was laid on the towpath of the old canal. So the water came up from the canal, came all the way up here, started pushing against our ballast, and eventually just washed all the way through. Dug, these holes are about 7 feet deep. They're pretty big. Washed out a good chunk of the walking path along our track, and washed all of our ballast out into this field here. We can recover some of it, not all of it necessarily, but we'll do our best. And then whatever we can't recover, we'll bring in from dump trucks, or a dump truck from down that way up to here and dump on it. And then start tamping it up, try to get everything level. Thought I'd give you some scale here. So here's a tie that came out. Spikes didn't quite hold it in. Here's the bottom of our hole and the bottom of our track. Like I said, that's, if I were to stand down there, I don't think my head would be above the bottom of the rail. I'm about 6 feet tall, so it's got to be about 7 foot deep in that hole right there. There are some other spots too where we'll come in and put new ties in and get tamped up where water was coming through but didn't quite wash out. This spot is actually only about 30 feet from the first one. And you can see the water was coming through here below the rails. And it almost washed out, but didn't quite. So that's what that spot would have looked like when it first started bringing water through. And again, that just rolls down out into the field here. Here's another one where it almost washed through. This is, again, another maybe 40 feet from the last piece, and there's the first washout. And this was a little worse. I managed to dig a hole that's a couple feet deep, and you can kind of see where it was running through. So this is a spot that we'll probably tamp, maybe add a little bit of ballast to, but we'll just keep an eye on for the most part, try to keep it safe. And as a matter of fact, this stone looks fairly new, and that's because we filled a washout here last year. You know, like I said, this is a common occurrence for us, especially on this part of the line. So it's every year we're down here with a dump truck dumping more rock, you know, and bringing the track back up. The history of our line includes, well, an endless number of washouts. Ever since the line was completed in about 1868, just about every year there's been recorded washouts somewhere along the line every spring. That was a problem that the New York Central, you know, the Big Four, and later Penn Central, as well as us, could never really truly fix. We dump riprap in places where flow is really strong along the river. But really all we can do is just keep up with fixing these washouts. You know, we do the best we can, and you know, we're all done by volunteer work. Our volunteers put in a ton of their own time coming down here to keep our track maintained and in good working order and keeping everything safe. There's no end of appreciation, certainly for me and from the rest of the operating crew at Whitewater Valley Railroad, for the track department here. Railroad cannot operate without track, and for that we're grateful that we, one, own our own right-of-way, and two, have a fantastic track department that we can rely on to keep our track in good working order. Here's another unfortunate effect of the washouts. All that water that goes through our track has to go somewhere, and unfortunately it ends up in farmers' fields, like this one. This came from a washout just up ahead of us, and yeah, all this water flowed in from the canal and out into the field. So we're not the only ones that unfortunately have to deal with the anger of the Whitewater River and the Whitewater Valley Canal. Here's another one of the washouts that we found. This one isn't, well, this one actually might be a little deeper than the other one we found, up closer to milepost 50 up that way. This is about milepost 50.5, maybe 50.6. This one looks like that deep hole right there, it's maybe 8 feet deep. The main channel looks like it's about 2 or 3 feet deep there. And actually this gives us a chance to kind of look at track construction in a way that you normally can't. So I thought I would give everybody, while we have the chance here, and the track is essentially a part for us to look at, give you a little cross section of how railroad track is constructed. So you have rails sitting up here on top of ties. The ties are made of wood soaked in creosote, and they are spiked in on these tie plates, which sit underneath the rail, and spikes. The spikes hold the ties to the rail, or the rail to the ties, I suppose. And then those ties sit on ballast, a nice thick layer of ballast. This is probably a good 1.5 feet of essentially just small crushed up rock. You know, just a little rock like this. And it kind of sits on that, and that allows, for the most part, when there's rain, for the rain to drain through and into the ground without, well, causing too many washouts. These washouts really only happen when we have an extreme amount of rain, or we have a consistent amount of rain over a long period of time. For the most part, ballast on railroad tracks takes care of all of the water that falls on it through rain and things like that. So just a neat look at railroad track construction while we have the chance. I should also mention, rails are held together with these. These are called joint bars. They essentially hold 2 rails together. You can see the split where there's 2 rails put together there, and you've got bolts on either side. If you want to see more about how these joint bars operate or hold the track together, check out one of our other videos on our YouTube channel. I'll add a link up in the top corner for you, where we go out on track inspection. So go check that out when you get a chance. Here's another washout here. This is just a little bit south of milepost 51, which is just down here. This is a real little one. It's only maybe a couple feet deep and about 4 or 5 feet wide. So this one should be relatively easy to repair compared to the two down there. We've got this one, and there's another one just up here. You can see the gravel on the walking trail. That's where that one is. And yeah, so we'll have to take care of these two first. Since our dump truck travels on the rails, you know, we have to get on the track down there. So we'll fix these two, and then we'll go on down there and fix the other two. If you're located somewhere between Cincinnati, Indianapolis, and Dayton, come on down and visit us. If you have an interest in how fixing track works and you know, how we operate all of our equipment, or if you just like to come down and volunteer and help us get this all fixed out, we'd love to have you. We're in our off season at the moment, but we work most Saturdays. If you would like to contact our office to see when we might have track crew going out, you may absolutely do so. Contact information is on our website, whitewatervalleyrr.org. Go check us out, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.